Good day, fellas. I hope you are ready for your daily dose of skill. And today we have unusual daily dose of skill. Today we are going to have a conversation about the Clan Wars changes on incoming campaign, which will be from February 7th to February 21. And since I am not really competitive and not really competent guy to speak about the Clan Wars, we are going to invite one of the best players out there, one of the most competitive players in the world of tanks, and many of you know him, Dakillzor, fellas. We are going to have some Q&A/podcast video today, and we are going to talk about some things, we are going to talk about the changes and so on. And after this video, fellas, if you still have some questions, you are not entirely sure how the personal fame point system changed and everything, I am leaving in the description and in the first pinned comment, right? You are going to see the link in the Dakillzor video where he is going to talk about the personal fame points changes. Obviously his YouTube channel in general, he is doing a lot of videos when he is playing random battles, he is doing some stream highlights, he is doing some of the videos speaking about advances or Clan Wars itself. So this is quite interesting stuff, fellas. So if you want to test something out new or just to show some love for Daki, feel free to check it out. Once again, YouTube video, YouTube channel and Twitch channel is there in the description, and I must admit I am watching his stream quite often myself. Whenever I'm finishing the stream, it is usually midnight and he's streaming at this point, and I am checking this guy out. He is a good guy. He can play extremely well, and in fact I would say he's one of the best players in the game. So once again, feel free to check this out. And now, without further ado, let's teleport into the action and let's have conversation with Daki, shall we? Good day, Papa Daki.
Hello, what's up, man?
Everything is fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, dude. I'm doing great. I always love waking up before my time.
Oh, very nice. I sincerely apologize. I am responsible for this, so have kebab on me and life is going to be beautiful. Fellas, today we are here for a very, very specific reason, and today we are here to talk about the Clan Wars changes. As many of you know, I am not a Clan Wars guy, but Daki, on the other hand, he is the master of the Clan Wars. I don't really think he missed many campaigns, if ever, so he is the person to have conversation with, and I know a lot of you are confused at what the flying F is happening around, and Daki is going to explain everything and give his point of view. Are you ready for this, Daki?
Yeah, well, at least I don't have to answer a million questions anymore, Dan.
Very, very nice. Oh, you selfish bastard, that's not nice. Okay, so speaking about the Clan Wars, what are the fundamental changes which Wargaming have done nowadays? Because we have the new article, we have the new system. Can you talk a bit about this?
Well, basically the main changes is the way the split is of the tanks, right? Before you would have, let's say, 90% into tanks that you get with points and like 10% into the auction, which is now completely different, as you have, let's say, 40% into actual getting and 60% into the auction, which is a very, very big change, because it's now 4,000 tanks that you can get by grinding points and 8,700 for the auction. On top of that, other changes are the personal fame boosters, the level that you had to unlock to get a boost to your points. That has now been completely scrapped and removed, probably because it was too difficult for people to understand to what level booster they were supposed to go. Has been unified. It's all the same, so there's no fame points boosters anymore. And before, you had the ×5 battles with, for example, when you did a land attack on the basic front, not a landing tournament, but a land attack on the basic front, that is a ×5 battle. Same for the advanced and elite front, together with elo multipliers. So if you played against the better clan, you got more fame points. That's not a thing anymore now. That's also been made kind of even. And then the funniest change of them all is that you always have to kill 5 tanks or you don't get any fame points for some bizarre reason.
So pretty much the system overall got changed completely from A to Z.
And then, of course, the most important thing is that there's a chieftain in the campaign, which Wargaming realized as well with their video, which is, I don't know if you watched it, completely focused around the chieftain is back. That was the main point of the video.
Well, this is completely understandable. I think we did not have a chieftain for like 2 years or so, right?
Yeah,
in
like
the Clan
2 years.
Wars.
Like 2 years, yeah.
So Wargaming understands the chieftain is kind of the problem. I mean, it is very, very sensitive topic overall, but chieftain is one of the best tanks in the world of tanks, although it is quite hard tank to play with. It's not like new player would take a chieftain and slaughter all enemy team.
No,
I don't really think it's the case.
No, of course not, but I think we can both agree that the chieftain is pretty overpowered, and it gets more overpowered the better the player is, right? The better the player, the more you get. I don't say that, like you said, I don't think that a bad player in a chieftain will own the team, but I do think, for example, if somebody gets 48% win ratio in his tier 10s, then he might have like 52 in his chieftain.
And he's going to be permanently stunned in the battle.
That too.
Okay, so let's start everything from the very important change, and this is the how many tanks we have in auction and how many tanks we can grind. So in the previous season, in the winter campaign, if I'm not mistaken, you could get around 11,000 tanks, right?
I think it was something like this, yeah.
And 1,000 tanks was for auction. Nowadays, it is 4,000 tanks to grind. Plus, on top of that, like you mentioned it before, it is going to be harder to grind the fame points overall for players, right? Especially if you are having fails like you are losing 0 to 15 or 4 to 15, you are not getting any fame points.
You're not getting
as
anything.
Well.
But in this regard, losing is not that bad because you actually get a decent amount of points. For that as well, for some reason. It's made a lot harder to actually get a chieftain, where before, and I'm just speaking from the good clan perspective, which is obviously not, it wasn't ideal either, is that on the last day, somebody could join the clan and get a chieftain basically in 1 day. Or a tank in 1 day, which is obviously not ideal either. But now it's on the other end of the extreme, which also affects people like you that may have wanted to get a tank, is now that 1 day is not going to cut it, not even close to cutting it. You'll probably have to play 10 days with decent win ratio to actually be in that top 4,000.
And in the same time, we can touch a bit other topics. So as many of you know, fellas, there is a black market for World of Tanks, and I'm not speaking black market in World of Tanks. Pretty much
this one brings more money in.
Yeah, in a way, but you cannot cover that much. So first of all, for people who are not aware of that, there is certain services when people are pretty much taking your account, they are asking certain amount of the money and they are grinding the tank for you. Nowadays, since whole rating and everything is changed, it is going to be so much more expensive, and overall the casual player has pretty much no chance to get into the top 4,000, I would say. Would you agree, Daki?
Yeah, I would agree on this point. It does kill the boosting scene, which is also an issue. IMO in general, it's an issue in ranked. If you check the leaderboards, it's not really fair to the people that drop out from, for example, from gold. And it's the same. It was the same concept in Clan Wars, right? You could drop out of a tank because there is, let's say, 500 people. They got a chieftain or a different reward thing by paying for it. So people might be like, well, isn't it like a good thing that there's so much more tanks in the auction? And there I would have to disagree, because it's not really a better thing for a lot of players to get this many tanks out of the auction. First of all, the mid-level Clan Wars player is getting owned by these changes. The clans that usually got, like, let's say, like, not average or below clan would maybe get, let's say, 10 to 25 tanks. So maybe for like 2 teams. Those clans can kind of forget about getting 25 tanks now, because it's just not going to happen.
The question is, will they get even 1 team if they will play non-stop? Because
they will have to play non-stop, and this also punishes clans with a lot of teams, because if you really want to get a tank, you have to play. You really have to play this campaign. You have to play a lot and have to get in a lot of battles. And usually, clans send their team 1 or team 2 to battles, and then they do battles for the third and fourth team, for example, to get tanks. That is going to be really hard to achieve now as well.
So what do you think? What is the main point of Wargaming doing those changes? Did they wanted to kill the black market, or they simply have a bit other ideas? For example, since we have double the amount of the tanks, well, actually, wait a second, double of the tanks, 7 times more tanks than you could bid for before. And before prices were crazy, we were like 50, 60,000 bonds to get the tank, right?
Plus, 50,000 plus to get a tank, and that was without Chieftain, actually. So the auction's going to go crazy. Wargaming, in my opinion, is trying to drain as much bonds from the economy as possible, because there's a lot of people that hoarded their bonds, that have a lot of bonds on their accounts, and Wargaming wants to get those bonds out of the economy. In my opinion, this auction thing is only good for people that never spent their bonds. A lot of players that bought stuff from the bond shop, like 121B or something, which is a good tank now, or bond equipment, they're the ones that are really getting punished, because in those 2 years, they may have been like, okay, well, I don't have to save my bonds, Chieftain's not coming back, I'm going to use them. But now those people with a lot of bonds are actually the only ones getting rewarded out of this. They're going to get Chieftain. Wargaming is going to drain millions and millions and millions of bonds, and currently we can't do that much with our bonds. But I think what Wargaming wants to achieve is to make it so people have to grind for bonds again. With, I don't know, in-game events, maybe some special event where you can get bonds. So, Wargaming just wants people to spend as much time as possible. And if those people are low on bonds, they have to reinvest the time, again, to grind it again.
So pretty much the whole point of all this is to make people to play more and to invest their time. Yeah. And maybe in the future, you never know. The thing is, nowadays we have a tier 9 premium tanks out there, or the tank, maybe tanks soon, you never know. And maybe the main point of Wargaming is to say, well, look, we are having a tier 9 premium tanks, you can make bonds with them, and you might need bonds in the future to bid for something. Or maybe you are going to be able to buy the bonds in the future, you never know. Okay, so for this is quite clear. Pretty much Wargaming main point is to sink as many goals from as many bonds from economy as possible, right? This would be your take on all this.
Yeah, exactly. Just like with the auction that came before, actually trying to drain as much Christmas gold and free experience from people's accounts as well, so that they have to restock at some point. This is like, this might happen next year that they need to restock, but the more you drain, the more you make people play. And the only way to grind bonds currently, really, especially since the removal from bonds from like medals and stuff as well, which for us, for example, was a nice way to grind bonds, because now on my new account, I have one set of improved equipment. That's all I've been able to afford so far in like 4,000 games. So Wargaming just wants to drain bonds and make people play for bonds again, man, whether that be on the tier 9 premiums, whether that be in special events, because what they want is people to spend time. And if they spend time, they spend credits and they buy things.
And they are buying premium account, they are buying gold, they are buying premium tanks. That's quite straightforward. Look, what would you recommend for a casual player who had an illusion before to go and play a Clan Wars campaign? Would you recommend for the casual clan, let's say 50% win ratio plus players or something, would you recommend for them to grind their ass off in the current Clan War, or maybe there is other way, for example, play like 10 battles just to get involved into this auction and simply quit it because maybe it's not worth their time?
Oh, it really depends how good their team is, but in general, to be honest, with 4,000 spots, it's not that many. A lot of them are going to be taken by good clans already. They're going to take up a decent percentage of this 4,000. But with the reworked fame point system, it is possible for an average clan, if they spam from day 1 till day 14 as many battles as they can, that they get tanks. But I don't think people that are in average clan that are in team 3 that have to give up battles for team 1 and team 2 have to count on ever getting a tank in any way, shape, or form. And it also comes down back to the people. If you don't have 2 weeks to play the full campaign, don't bother. Don't even attempt, because you will actually have to play every single day as many battles as you possibly can, because it's a complete grind fiesta. Because the fame points rework has made it so like a good player would earn this much and an average player would earn this much, to more like this. But then the win ratio comes into effect, so he'll be still here because of win ratio. But the average player will have to grind. So if you're not in a team 1 or team 2 of a 50% clan, I think you can forget about Chief. I don't think it's happening. I honestly don't think it's happening. And if you don't have 14 days to play, it's not worth it. If you have to go away for a week, don't play. It's going to be a waste of time. It's going to be frustrating as hell.
And also on top of that, I believe we need to mention this Wargaming is actually catching the players who are sharing account as well in the campaign.
Oh, yeah.
And what is happening, I am speaking from my experience. I know, once again, there is like illegal activity, right? I pay you that much, give me the Clan Wars River tank, and Wargaming is catching them. Obviously not 100%, but they are catching them. So yeah. So if you are sharing account with your friend, even when you are going for whatever, you have a nice weekend with your family, keep this in mind. There is a possibility you might get caught and you are not going to get the tank as well. Would you agree, Daki?
Yeah, I don't think it's worth the risk. I don't think it's worth the money you might lose as well if you do get caught. Because if you get caught, the reward gets removed. You're not able to buy a tank, so then you basically wasted money that you could have spent on a nice holiday or whatever. Because now it's going to be crazy how much they're going to ask to actually get a tank. Because I'll give you an example. Before, in a 14-day campaign, in a decent to good clan, I think one guy could do 7 or more accounts.
Wow, that's a lot of.
If he plays every day, it's I would say roughly 2 days for a tank in a decent to good clan. 2 days for a tank. So if it's 14 days, you can squeeze out 7. But now with the new system, you're not going to be able to do more than max 2, and even that's going to be a stretch. So max 1.
So if the price used to be, if I'm not mistaken, from 200 to 300 euros in this amount in the black market, right?
Somewhere there.
So nowadays, if this thing would still be the thing, black market might charge even
500
1K.
euros. 500 to 1,000 euros to get a chieftain, but then like a guaranteed chieftain.
And fellas, I am speaking from my perspective. As powerful chieftain is, for casual player it's not going to be fun. I can promise you that. And Daki probably would agree with this. The chieftain is getting focused like there is no tomorrow. Luckily there is a bit less art in the randoms, but overall you will get focused. You will get YOLO just because you are playing with a chieftain.
And it's also this chieftain, like, yeah, it's this extremely good overpowered tank, but it also scales a lot. The better the player is, the better he will perform on it. If you are an average or below average player, you're not going to do 4k DPG on a chieftain. You're going to do slightly better than your other tier 10s, but it's not like you're going to be all of a sudden the best player in World of Tanks history.
And in fact, I have a lot of people overall in the stream who are coming and saying, Skill, I cannot stand the chieftain. I like Super Conqueror more because gun handling is better and so on, so on. And it is the case. Gun handling can be definitely complicated. Okay, do you want to add something more, Daki, with all of this? Maybe maybe you have some kind of other things to say about this Clan Wars campaign.
I'll just make a final conclusion. I think what Wargaming has done to the Clan Wars campaign is turn it completely into a business perspective. They've tried to keep the competitive aspect of it. Have failed at doing, in my opinion, because the top 4,000 will have a lot of players that already have chieftains, which they are very well aware of. That there's going to be a lot of players in this top 4,000 that already have the chieftain. So those are, this is great for them. They don't get more chieftains into the system. But what they do get in return is they completely own the mid-level clans. They're saying a big old middle finger, like, we don't care. Mid-level clans, honestly, they don't care. that they can't get chieftains anymore. Because before you had those people from position 4,000 to 10,000 that would all be getting tanks. None of these a large percentage of these will not have bonds. They're active players that buy improved equipment, that buy tanks. They are not getting bonds. Instead, an average or below player that hoarded the bonds is getting a chieftain instead. So I would say that it's the way they made the system. It's great from a business perspective. They're going to drain millions of bond, but it's very unfair to the people, especially with a 2 weeks warning only that it got changed. It's very unfair to the people that played actively, that have used their bonds and haven't hoarded them. So like a lot of the thing was, it's not fair that like not everybody can get a chieftain. Now a ton of people can get a chieftain, but I don't see where the point is fair. I mean, just because somebody saved bonds and the other one used them, now all of a sudden the one that used his bonds can't get a chieftain anymore, but somebody that hoarded can. I don't see where it's the balance in that either at all, to be honest. I don't get it. From a business point of view, great. But from a fairness point of view, it's not there.
I mean, from the business point of view, we are noticing already the factors of the bled market on overall auction system. It is just bringing the most money to Wargaming, so they are going this way because this is the maximum way how they can make money. Also, on top of that, I believe this needs to be said, since there is going to be many chieftains which are going to reach the game nowadays. Right? I believe we spoke with Daki yesterday a bit, and Daki's prediction is the chieftain mark of excellence should drop significantly.
Will drop significantly. I mean, I don't know how many chieftains there are in the population right now on the server, and it's not really relevant either, because those 8,000 players, 8,700 or whatever the exact number is, players that are gonna play their chieftain, a lot of them are gonna be, not doing that well on it. Their mark is gonna plummet in the first few weeks. It's gonna absolutely, get destroyed, IMO. So I think it will drop by like 1,000, honestly, because it's gonna be so many the players that are not gonna average that much. They're gonna drag it down significantly. So the status of chieftain marks is gonna drop a little, a lot.
Speaking overall about the Clan Wars River tanks, which is very, very important thing to say, especially for casual player who doesn't know the tanks, we have M60 and we have 121B, who should never ever take those tanks because they have easy access in the bond store, correct?
Yeah, they're in the bond store. I mean, they're more expensive, but why waste a license on this, right? Unless you have nothing else to get, then obviously you can get them. But in the case, no, don't get it. Just save up more bonds later. There's going to be events still. Don't get them from Clan Wars. Don't.
Okay, so if we would have a list, which tanks should prioritize every single World of Tanks player? First would be Chieftain.
Chieftain, then 907.
907, probably VK.
VK is actually a really nice tank still. So, I mean, a big Alpha, big Heat pen, VK. Yeah, VK comes after.
And after that, we have T95 and Carrot. You love Carrot. I hear that you had a great time playing with this vehicle.
800 bottles of pain and suffering and emotional damage, actually. No, I put class E6 before the Caro still. Because Caro is actually a pile of shit, man. Seriously.
It is not usable tank whatsoever, and T95 Echo 6 can be used.
At least it has DPM. At least it has, even for randoms, at least the E6 has DPM. With the Caro, you're sitting there, do I fire my 4 shells or fire 1 and then wait a century to do it again? No.
You are complaining way too much. I think those 800 games just changed you, Daki. To be fair with you, I think it changed you. Okay, I believe that's about it. Speaking about the Clan Wars, I think we covered many things, and the most important parts was said. I hope we did not miss anything. If we did...
One thing, what do you think? If Wargaming is now releasing chieftains to more average players, do you think they're going to nerf it at some point?
Honestly, I am not able to predict what Wargaming is doing. And in fact, one more thing to be said, even though there is a very competitive community and overall, many people might think the community contributors have influence to the game. Answer is very, very simple. It is not the case. If you think Wargaming went to the Daki to ask, hey Daki, you are one of the most competitive players, you are commenting on the tournaments, you are doing many stuff overall behind the screens and so on, so on. What do you think about this opinion? Well, I believe Daki would easily say they did not went for Daki and they did not said, hey, what do you think, Daki? So, yeah.
I mean, I remember when we had access to the Rhino and we all said the Rhino, it ain't that good. And they went like, it's a unique tank with a unique play style, and then just went forward with it.
And there was many situations when community contributors were saying, for example, Bobject, aka Object 268 version 4, it's broken. Community was yelling on it. Community contributors was yelling on the tank. Wargaming has their own logic and they are going to wait approximately 5-6 months and then they are going to do the changes. They are very stubborn, but in the same time, if they can make business in this way, good for them. That's about it. Okay, fellas, thank you very much for watching. A big fat thanks for Daki for joining us today. I hope Daki answered many of your questions. And thank you very much, Daki, for being with us.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anytime, brother. Anytime.
Thank you very much for watching, fellas, and see you very soon. Peace.